With the launch of the flagship S series lineup out of the way, we can all anticipate the release of Samsung's new generation of high-end A series devices for the year 2021. What is up guys, my name is Easy. Let's talk about the Samsung Galaxy A32, A52 and A72. What should you expect? The release of the Samsung Galaxy A32, A52 and A72 is highly anticipated and it's just around the corner, most likely within the month of February. And we already have most of the information on what to expect from each of these devices, much thanks to the leaked renders and specifications. The last generation of all three phones sold quite well for Samsung, especially the A51, which was the best-selling Android phone in the first quarter of 2020. Samsung is surely hoping to replicate that success with the next generation. This video should be short and straight to the point, but since we are talking about three devices, I'm going to have timestamps for each device. The Samsung Galaxy A32 seems the sleekest design of them all. That is the rear design, probably the best designed mid-range phone yet. Its rear cameras are placed without a bump like we are used to, giving it this simple yet classy design. Nothing seems to have changed with the rear camera configuration when compared to its predecessor, and there is the possibility of a few downgrades in its cameras, with the depth sensor likely to be reduced to 2 megapixels and the selfie camera reduced to 13 megapixels. The A31 had a 5 megapixel depth sensor and 20 megapixel selfie camera. Not sure how these downgrades will affect overall picture quality when compared to the A31, since we know megapixels don't tell the whole story, but we can confirm when the device becomes available, which of course will be reviewed on this channel, so do well to subscribe and turn on post notifications. Its main camera is 48 megapixels, there's an 8 megapixel ultra wide camera and a 5 megapixel macro camera. The fingerprint scanner has been moved to the side on the power button. It looks beautiful with the design and functional, as a physical fingerprint scanner is definitely faster and more responsive than an optical one. But there's a catch, it comes at a cost. No Super AMOLED display like we had on the A31. That is so not cool. It is also adopting the Infinity V display over the Infinity U we had on its predecessor, and it is either a TFT or an IPS LCD display. With these downgrades, one would wonder if it's going to be priced cheaper than the A31. The renders you see is courtesy of WinFuture on Twitter, and it's particularly for the A32 5G. However, I do not expect the non-5G variant to be designed any different. The Samsung Galaxy A32 5G is expected to come with a MediaTek Dimensity 720 chipset. Not sure what the non-5G variant will sport, probably an Exynos processor. On software, it is expected to launch with Android 11 and One UI 3. We'll be getting it in 4 to 6 gigs of RAM and 64 to 128 gigs in storage, with the option to expand with an SD card. The battery remains at 5000 mAh and fast charging via USB-C is still 15 watts. The price is still unconfirmed. The Samsung Galaxy A52 has not changed much in design from the A51, still a similar camera bump, though this render, thanks to Evan Blast, that is F-Leaks on Twitter, it shows the bump to have a slightly curved finish. That looks about the only design change. It still sports a similar display as the A51 with a 6.5-inch 1080p Super AMOLED Infinity O design. The selfie camera cutout looks smaller than we had on the A51. It is likely a 32 megapixel selfie camera like its predecessor. All buttons and ports remain intact, still retaining the headphone jack and a USB-C port, which supports 15 watts fast charging. The fingerprint scanner remains in display unlike the A32. The Samsung Galaxy A52 is expected to come with an upgraded 64 megapixel main rear camera which can shoot up to 4K 30 frames per second, a 12 megapixel ultra wide camera, 5 megapixel macro and 5 megapixel depth sensor. The battery capacity is unconfirmed, but we expect a 5000 mAh battery as has been the standard lately. Samsung is also expected to release both the 4G and 5G variants. The Samsung Galaxy A52 5G is sporting the Snapdragon 750G processor, while the A52 4G sports the Snapdragon 720G. That is a good upgrade from the Exynos 9611 we had on the A51. It is also expected that the base model will have 6 gigs of RAM. There's also an 8 gig option with up to 256 gigs in storage. Really nice upgrades from the A51. I'm looking forward to getting my hands on it. The Samsung Galaxy A52 could launch as soon as February, and it should come with Android 11 and One UI 3. The Samsung Galaxy A72. The A72. There's still not much information on it though, but if the leaks are anything to go by and if they are accurate, you might be a little disappointed with this one. Actually, very disappointed. You see, everything I said about the A52 when it comes to specifications and design apply to the A72. Same design, same specifications, even down to the processor for both the 4G and 5G models. The Snapdragon 750G and 720G respectively, just like the A52. The only differences you may find is in the size, which is 6.7 inches. Also, the position of the fourth rear camera sensor is alternated. It will likely have the same camera specifications like its predecessor, the A71. There will be definitely more information as it is expected to launch in March, later than the A52. If the leaks are anything to go by, the Samsung Galaxy A72 is just an A52 Plus. Just a bigger version of the A52 with no significant difference between both. But hey, these are just leaks and not official information from Samsung, so I'd say take it with a pinch of salt. The Samsung Galaxy A32 looks to be the best designed one, but I'm not sure how fans are going to feel by the display downgrade. Which among the A32, A52 and A72 are you mostly looking forward to? I'll definitely be covering each of these devices on the channel when they get released, so make sure you're subscribed and you have your notifications turned on. I'm going to see you in another video. Peace.